Marquette is also a town that has offered parcels of residential land for free on the condition that the recipient build a home within a specified deadline. It has attracted some new residents who decided to take advantage of the program and enjoy small town living. 10 miles away is Kannapolis State Park, which was the first state park in Kansas. When you look at the population figures, it's pretty interesting. So in 1920 was the highest population, that was 780. And then it started to dwindle down a little bit. In 1980, bounced back up, then went back down again, bounced back up in 2010, and is now at 599. It would be interesting to find out how much those parcels of residential land that were offered helped the population. So still almost 600 people, which isn't too much lower than it was back 100 years ago.
Population, around 600 people. Location, smack in the middle of Kansas. The kind of flat, windswept country that feels like the earth forgot to put any furniture out. And what is Marquette offering you? A free residential lot, no purchase price, $0. You just have to agree to build a home on it within a set time frame. The program has been running for years, and it is part of a wider Kansas trend of small towns using land giveaways to fight off the slow death that comes when young people leave and never come back. The town is not flashy. There is no beach. There is no nightlife worth writing home about. But there is a genuine functional community with schools, local businesses, and people who actually know their neighbors by name. For someone who is tired of paying $1,500 a month for a studio apartment in a city that does not know you exist, Marquette is making a serious argument. You get the land, you build the life, and the town gets to keep breathing. But Kansas is just warming up, because the next town on this list does not just give you the land, it hands you cash on top of it to make sure you actually build. Still in Kansas, but this time the deal comes with a bonus. Lincoln, Kansas, a population around 10 ton, runs a program that gives away free residential lots and, depending on the specifics of your project, can offer additional financial incentives tied to new home construction. The town sits in Lincoln County, a rural stretch of north-central Kansas where the economy runs on agriculture, community ties, and the stubborn refusal to disappear. What makes Lincoln interesting is that the free land program is not some emergency measure cooked up overnight. It reflects a broader Kansas free land movement where multiple towns across the state recognize that the best way to attract new residents is to eliminate the single biggest barrier, the cost of getting started. You move in, you build, you become part of the tax base. Your kids go to local schools. Everybody wins. The town has basic infrastructure, a historic downtown, and a slower pace that people who grew up in cities either find terrifying or deeply refreshing. There is no in between. 2 Kansas towns down, and the pattern is clear. But wait until you see what a Nebraska town decided to throw into its offer to really seal the deal. Nebraska quietly became one of the most aggressive states for free land programs, and Elwood is one of its standout examples. This small town in Gosper County has offered free lots to people willing to build a new primary residence. The pitch is straightforward. The town gives you the land, you bring the construction, and the community gains a new household. Elwood sits near Gosper County Lake, which is actually a legitimate recreational asset. Fishing, water activities, open space. So this is not a town offering you a dirt patch in the middle of nowhere with nothing else to recommend it. There is genuine outdoor appeal here. The surrounding area is agricultural, quiet, and built around the kind of self-reliance that becomes appealing once you have spent enough years being dependent on systems you cannot control. Elwood's free land offer has been part of a countywide attempt to stabilize a population that has been slowly shrinking since the mid-20th century. The bones are good. The deal is real. The question is whether you are the kind of person who builds. Nebraska has more than one town playing this game, and the next entry shows just how creative a small community can get when its survival is on the line. Curtis, Nebraska, population somewhere around 900. Home of the Nebraska College of Technical Agriculture, which means this small town has an actual educational institution inside it. A real, functioning college that brings in students, staff, and a pulse that a lot of towns this size simply do not have. Curtis has offered free residential lots as part of its growth strategy, targeting young families and professionals who want space, affordability, and a community that functions like one. The presence of the college changes the dynamic completely. You are not just moving to a quiet town with nothing going on. You are moving to a place with an academic calendar, campus events, and a built-in reason for young people to be around. For someone working remotely or building a small business, that matters. Curtis also benefits from its location in the Nebraska Sandhills region, which is genuinely beautiful in a way that does not photograph well but hits differently in person. Rolling grass-covered dunes, clear skies, and a stillness that people who have only lived in cities genuinely cannot imagine. If a college town with free land sounds appealing, wait until you hear about the state that decided to pay remote workers just to exist there. Harmony, Minnesota calls itself the largest Amish community in the state, which is already a sentence that does not get written often enough. But beyond the tourism draw of horse-drawn buggies and hand-stitched quilts, Harmony has used financial incentives and low-cost housing programs to attract new permanent residents to an area that has been losing working-age adults for decades. The town sits in Fillmore County in the bluff country of southeastern Minnesota. Genuinely stunning landscape of forested ridges, trout streams, and some of the best cycling and hiking trails in the upper Midwest. Harmony itself is small, tight-knit, and built around agriculture and small business. Incentive programs through the county and the state of Minnesota have at various points included loan forgiveness, housing grants, and development subsidies aimed at bringing skilled workers and young families back into the region. The cost of living here is a fraction of what you would pay in Minneapolis or St. Paul, and the landscape trade-off is actually favorable. You lose a skyline, you gain a river valley. Minnesota is beautiful, but it gets cold. And the next entry takes you somewhere that decided the best way to attract residents was to simply write them a check. Tulsa is not a small forgotten town. It is a mid-sized city with a skyline, a real arts district, and a population of around 400,000, but it belongs on this list because of what it did between 2018 and 2023 with a program called Tulsa Remote. The program offered remote workers $10,000 in cash, co-working space access, and a community network just to move to Tulsa for a year. It was one of the first and most successful programs of its kind in the country. Over 1,500 people relocated through the program. Studies showed those participants stayed at higher rates than expected, spent money locally, and contributed meaningfully to the tax base. Tulsa Remote has since evolved and the original structure has changed, but the city proved something important: place-based financial incentives work. People will move somewhere they had not considered if the financial case is strong enough and the community support is real. Tulsa is more city than small town, but it cracked the code that every entry on this list is trying to use. If you want to understand why these programs exist, Tulsa is the proof of concept. Oklahoma showed that cash works as a magnet. But what happens when a state with mountains, maple syrup, and no income tax decides it wants you too? Vermont took a different approach. Rather than attaching incentives to a single town, the state created a statewide remote worker grant program that offered up to $10,000 over 2 years to remote workers who relocated to Vermont and worked for out-of-state employers. Towns like Bellows Falls, Newport, and Hardwick, small, scenic, deeply rural communities that had been hemorrhaging population for years, became beneficiaries of this program. Vermont has no major metropolis pulling talent toward it. It has covered bridges, ski slopes, farm-to-table food culture, and some of the most genuinely livable small towns in the northeastern United States. The grant was designed to offset moving costs and give new residents a financial runway while they got settled. Vermont also has no income tax on Social Security benefits and some of the lowest property crime rates in the country. For a remote worker willing to trade urban density for the kind of quiet that actually lets your brain rest, Vermont's small towns represent one of the best quality of life swaps available in America. Vermont wanted remote workers, but the next state on this list was offering something Vermont could not compete with: year-round warm weather and a tax incentive worth thousands. Newton, Iowa has a story that is genuinely hard to look away from. This town of about 15,000 people used to be the global headquarters of Maytag. Yes, the washing machine company. When Maytag moved its manufacturing out in 2007, Newton lost thousands of jobs in a matter of years. The economic collapse was severe and fast, but Newton did not lie down. The city reinvented itself around wind energy manufacturing, attracted new employers, and implemented aggressive housing incentives to draw workers back in. Programs in Newton have included down payment assistance, housing development grants, and direct financial support for new home buyers, all designed to rebuild a population that walked out the door when the factory closed. Newton also sits at a genuine geographic advantage. It is about 30 miles east of Des Moines, meaning residents can access a real city's amenities while paying small-town prices for housing. The comeback story here is real, the incentives are real, and the lesson that a town can rebuild its identity from scratch is one of the more hopeful things on this entire list. Newton's comeback from industrial collapse is remarkable, but the next entry shows a town that never fell in the first place. It just decided to pay people to show up. Marne, Iowa has a population of around 150 people, which means it is not so much a town as it is a very organized group of neighbors. And like several other small Iowa communities, Marne has used free and reduced cost residential lots to try to attract new families. The town is in Cass County in southwestern Iowa, agricultural country where the land is flat. The winters are sharp and the summers smell like corn. What makes Marne worth noting is what it represents in the broader landscape of American small towns. The absolute floor of viability. At 150 people, a town is one school closure, one factory departure, one bad decade away from disappearing entirely. The free land programs at this scale are not economic development strategies in the traditional sense. They are survival mechanisms. They are a community saying out loud with paperwork, we are not ready to stop existing. There is something genuinely moving about that, even if the town itself would not show up in any tourism brochure. Marne is small, it is honest, and it will give you a lot. Iowa keeps showing up on this list for a reason, and the next entry proves that some of these programs have been quietly running for decades without anyone noticing. Beatrice, Nebraska, pronounced Beatrice, not like the name, has a population of around 12,000 and a history that goes all the way back to the Homestead Act of 1862. This is the town closest to the site of the first official homestead claim under that act, which means the tradition of giving people land to build a life is literally written into the town's DNA. Beatrice has used housing incentive programs, lot sales at dramatically reduced prices, and development grants to attract new residents and businesses. It sits in Gage County in southeastern Nebraska, close enough to Lincoln to access a university city while remaining firmly a small town in character and cost. The area has some of the most productive agricultural land in the state, a stable local economy, and a quality of life that shows up in low crime rates and genuinely affordable housing. For a town of its size, Beatrice has a surprising number of amenities: a historic downtown, recreational trails, and a regional hospital. The Homestead National Historical Park is right there, which means visitors come, money circulates, and the town stays anchored to a story bigger than itself. History runs deep in Beatrice, but the next town built its entire comeback strategy around one simple, almost radical idea: just give the houses away. Claremont, New Hampshire is a post-industrial city of around 13,000 sitting along the Sugar River in the western part of the state. It once had a thriving manufacturing base. That base left, and Claremont has been dealing with the aftermath ever since. Higher poverty rates than the state average, housing stock that needs work, and a population that has been slowly declining. But New Hampshire as a state has no income tax and no sales tax, which creates a financial baseline that is genuinely difficult to compete with. Claremont, recognizing that its housing prices are some of the lowest in the state, has leaned into affordability as its primary pitch to newcomers. Various local and state programs have offered down payment assistance, home rehabilitation grants, and first-time buyer incentives. The town also sits in the upper Connecticut River Valley, which is objectively gorgeous. Hills, forests, river access, and all four seasons in the way that people who have only lived in warm climates find either enchanting or deeply confusing. Claremont is not giving land land away for free, but the combination of New Hampshire's tax structure and the town's low entry cost makes it one of the most financially accessible places to put down roots in the Northeast. New Hampshire bets on tax freedom to lure people in. Now meet the West Virginia town that decides. To offer cash, broadband, and outdoor adventure all at once. West Virginia launched one of the more ambitious and well-funded relocation programs in American history with Ascend WV, and Lewisburg was one of its anchor communities. The program offered remote workers $12,000 in cash, outdoor recreation gear, free co-working space, and access to a curated community of fellow transplants, all in exchange for relocating to West Virginia and committing to stay for at least 2 years. Lewisburg is a small city of around 1,000 in Greenbrier County, and it has been described by publications like Smithsonian Magazine as one of the coolest small towns in America. It has a walkable downtown, independent restaurants, art galleries, a historic district, and proximity to some of the best whitewater rafting and hiking in the eastern United States. The Greenbrier River Trail alone is 78 miles of converted rail trail running through some of the quietest and most beautiful river valley landscape in the country. Ascend WV selected participants, which meant the cohorts were curated. People who were genuinely interested in building something in the state, not just collecting a check. The program attracted applicants from all 50 states and many countries. West Virginia's outdoor card is hard to beat, but the next entry comes from a state that paired its relocation incentive with a creative economy strategy that no one saw coming. Natchez, Mississippi is one of the oldest cities in the American South. Founded in 1716, sitting on a bluff above the Mississippi River, loaded with antebellum plantation homes and a history that is as complicated as any place in this country. But Natchez is also on this list because Mississippi has used tax incentive programs, rural development grants, and housing subsidies to make communities like Natchez dramatically affordable for people willing to invest in the area. The Mississippi Home Corporation runs down payment assistance programs that can cover thousands of dollars in upfront home buying costs, and Natchez has its own local economic development initiatives aimed at attracting remote workers and creative professionals to a city that has genuine historic architecture, a working river port, and a film industry presence. Mississippi has a competitive film tax credit program that has drawn productions to the state. Natchez homes that would cost well over $1 million in a coastal city can be purchased for under $100,000. The trade-offs are real, the summers are brutal, the public schools are underfunded, and the economic inequality is visible. But as a place to own property and build something on a limited budget, few American cities offer this combination of history, architecture, and price point. The South has history and affordability on its side, but the next entry belongs to a plain state where a tiny town went viral for doing something nobody expected. Plainville, Kansas sits in Rooks County in the north central part of the state with a population of around 1,900 people. It has been one of the more active participants in the Kansas Freeland movement, offering residential lots to qualified applicants willing to build and establish permanent residency. What sets Plainville apart from the other Kansas entries on this list is the support infrastructure the town has tried to build around its program. Economic development officials in Plainville have worked to connect incoming residents with local contractors, financing options, and community orientation resources, recognizing that giving someone a lot is only half the problem. The other half is making sure they actually have the tools to build on it. The town has a hospital, a school district, local retail, and a community pool, the kind of modest but complete amenity set that tells you a place still has enough people in it to function as a community rather than just a collection of addresses. The surrounding farmland produces wheat and cattle. The economy is stable if quiet, and the stars at night are the kind of clear that makes people from cities feel like they got ripped off their whole lives. Plainville covered the basics. Now get ready for the entry that sweetened the Freeland deal with something no one else thought to include. Mankato, Kansas, not to be confused with Mankato, Minnesota, is the county seat of Jewell County and home to roughly 800 people. Jewell County has been one of the most active counties in Kansas for free land programs, and Mankato has been at the center of it. The county has offered free lots with the added incentive of a construction rebate, meaning that after you build your home, the county reimburses a portion of your construction costs. This is a meaningfully different offer than just handing over a lot. A construction rebate addresses one of the most common objections to rural rural relocation, the upfront cost of building. You are not just getting land, you are getting a financial cushion that makes the project financially viable at a smaller budget. Mankato has a courthouse, a main street, a county hospital, and the kind of quiet civic life that runs on volunteer fire departments, county fairs, and people who show up when someone needs help. Jewell County also sits along the Republican River Valley, which provides decent outdoor recreation and some genuinely pleasant scenery in an otherwise flat stretch of the Great Plains. The whole package, free lot, construction rebate, functional community, is one of the cleanest offers on this list. A construction rebate changes the math entirely, and the next entry on this list changed the math even more dramatically by packaging its offer as a full lifestyle reset. Hamilton, Ohio is a mid-sized city of around 63,000 in Butler County, sitting between Dayton and Cincinnati. It is on this list because of a program it launched called Hamilton's Live Work Play Initiative, which offered financial incentives including rent rebates and housing grants to young professionals and creatives willing to move to Hamilton and contribute to its downtown revitalization. The city has invested heavily in its arts infrastructure. The Fitton Center for Creative Arts is a legitimate regional arts venue and has used a combination of state tax credits, federal opportunity zone investments, and local programming to make Hamilton a destination for people who want urban amenities at small city prices. Hamilton is not giving land away for free, but its housing cost compared to Columbus or Cleveland or Cincinnati is drastically lower, and the incentive programs have helped close the gap further. The city's location on the Great Miami River gives it recreational access, and the downtown has genuine historic architecture that has attracted developers, restaurants, and creative businesses. Hamilton made a calculated bet that investing in quality of life would attract the people it needed, and the early returns have been positive enough that it keeps making that bet. Ohio proved that a mid-sized city can play this game too. Now get ready for an entry that took the smallest possible town and made the largest possible promise. South Dakota has one of the most financially unusual profiles of any state in the country. No state income tax, no state sales tax on services, among the lowest overall tax burdens in the nation. And the Great Plains landscape around Rapid City, Black Hills, Badlands, Mount Rushmore in your backyard, gives the area a natural asset base that most of the Midwest cannot match. The Dakota Dreams program and related rural development initiatives across the state have targeted remote workers, entrepreneurs, and small business owners with a combination of tax environment marketing, land access programs, and community development grants. Towns in the Rapid City region and across the western South Dakota corridor have offered subsidized lots, business development loans, and quality of life programming designed to make the case that South Dakota is not a sacrifice play. It is a genuinely better life. For someone who works remotely and has been paying California or New York income taxes, moving to South Dakota is not just a lifestyle change. It is a significant annual raise. The financial case is almost embarrassingly strong, and the landscape makes it easy to stop feeling guilty about taking it. South Dakota's tax math is almost unfair to the other states on this list, but nothing on here prepared you for the number one entry, a town that has been giving away land for over a century and is still doing it today. Rolla, Kansas. Population around 450 people. County seat of Morton County in the extreme southwestern corner of the state, right on the Oklahoma border. And this town has been giving away free land to new residents for decades. The program in Morton County is one of the oldest and most consistently active free land programs in the United States, predating the current wave of small town incentive programs by years. Morton County offers residential lots, sometimes multiple lots, to qualified applicants who commit to building a home and establishing permanent residency. The county has gone further than almost any other rural community in Kansas, at various points offering cash bonuses on top of the land, waived utility hookup fees, and county-level tax abatements on new construction. Rolla sits in a region that is genuinely remote. The Cimarron National Grassland stretches out to the west, the Santa Fe Trail runs through the area, and the sky goes on so long it stops feeling like a background and starts feeling like the whole point. The town has a school, a city hall, basic services, and the kind of community density where everyone at the hardware store knows your name by your second visit. Is it for everyone? Obviously not, but for the right person. Someone who wants land, quiet, ownership, and the rare experience of being genuinely wanted by the place they live. Rolla, Kansas is not making a small offer. It is making a life-sized one. 18 towns, 18 different answers to the same question. What would you give a stranger to make them stay? Some gave land, some gave cash, some gave a construction rebate and a handshake. Some gave you the Black Hills on your doorstep and a tax bill that disappears. The map of America is full of places that are willing to pay for your company, and most people have no idea because no one is advertising it loudly enough. These programs are real. The towns are real. The deals are real. What they require from you is not complicated. Show up, build something, be a neighbor. The country has been emptying out its middle for decades, and these towns are the ones fighting back. The question is not whether they are worth it. The question is whether you are ready to take them up on it. If this list changed the way you think about where you could live, subscribe, share it with someone who is paying too much rent and not getting enough sky, and drop in the comments which town on this list actually made you stop and think. See you in the next one.